So in this video, I'm going to continue propositional logic. If you haven't watched my first video, go back and watch that. Read through Rod's lecture, introducing Unit 2, where I go over, we go over simple propositions, which essentially we've been working with in categorical logic, and using the logical operators to transition or turn them into compound propositions. So we have the 5 logical operators: negation, disjunction, conjunction, conditional, and biconditional. And I go over all those in the last video. So this one, I'm going to go over a few examples that I have up here to see where we can use, we'll be using multiple logical operators in a single compound proposition a lot of times this semester. And just kind of breaking down the symbolism and how we express it in symbolized form. So I put up a little key here with some simple propositions that I'm going to be dealing with. So L I'm going to use to represent Pam as a lawyer. A I'm going to use to represent Pam as an accountant. And S I'm going to use to represent Pam as a seamstress. So using those symbols that I talked about in the last video, here's some examples of compound propositions that I'm going to symbolize using multiple operators. So Pam is not a lawyer. Right away, we can symbolize that with the tilde and the L. And she is an accountant. I'm going to use the ampersand for the and. She is an accountant. So that would be tilde L ampersand A. And then if Pam is a lawyer, then she is an accountant. Already we can see this is an if-then statement or a conditional statement. So conditionals, biconditionals, I like to just put in that arrow right away. So what's going to be on the left side of the arrow is the if part of the statement. So if Pam is a lawyer, that's L, then she is not an accountant. So we have to put the tilde in to say that it is not the case that she is an accountant. So if Pam is a lawyer, L, then she is not an accountant, tilde A. Pam is a lawyer if and only if she is not an accountant. So again, we're going to use the triple bar, or if you're doing your work on a computer, a lot of times you'll see Rod use this. We'll just use IFF to express if and only if. So those two symbols mean the same thing if you see them. So Pam is a lawyer if and only if. So the left side is Pam is a lawyer. I'll fill that in down here also. If and only if she is not an accountant. So again, we have to negate the A. So tilde A. So it'd be L triple bar tilde A. L if and only if tilde A. And let's see, fourth one we have Pam is either a lawyer or she is both an accountant and a seamstress. So there's a lot of things going on. I'll introduce a concept in this one. We're going to use parentheses, kind of like you do in math, to isolate a part of the equation. So Pam is either a lawyer or she is both an accountant and a seamstress. So I like to use words like this, both, to show that both an accountant and a seamstress is together. So I'm going to do the right side of it first. So she is both an accountant, and I'm going to use the ampersand, a seamstress. So that's the second part of the statement, A ampersand S. And those are going to be connected. So Pam is either a lawyer or, so this is going to be the wedge symbol for the disjunction. And the first part is Pam is a lawyer. So either Pam is a lawyer or she is both an accountant and a seamstress. So I had to put the parentheses on that because I'll go over after this where you want to identify your main operator. In this case, it's the wedge. So when we get into truth values, you're going to analyze the truth value of this and this as its own entity. But we'll get to that later. Let's worry about the symbolism for now. And the final example I have, if Pam is either a lawyer or accountant, then she is a seamstress. So again, it's an if-then statement. I'm going to go ahead and put the arrow in right now. So the left side of the arrow is going to be what it follows the if or the antecedent. If Pam is either a lawyer or accountant, so again, we're going to have to use the parentheses because we have two different expressions here. Either she is a lawyer or an accountant. So if it's the case that Pam is either a lawyer or an accountant, then this is the consequent. What follows after the then statement? She is a seamstress. So that we're going to represent just by S. So we have to put in the parentheses so that we know that the arrow is the main logical operator. So I'll go ahead, we'll get into this in further lessons, but I'll just give you a little preview. When we're identifying what the main operator is, this is saying that since the ampersand is the main operator, the negation of L is its own entity, and the negation, or just A, is its own entity. And the arrow is the main operator here. We're looking at L and not A as individual entities. Then again, L, not A, has its own entity. And then the wedge in this one is the main operator, so the A and S is basically its own entity in the L, and then the L or A is its own entity over on this side. That's with the S. Again, I'll get into that later. Just worry about the symbolism now. I'll have some more videos coming up.